Mary stumbled her way home well past 2 a.m. on Saturday, her Friday evening having kicked off right after work. She and a few friends decided to kickstart the weekend at their favorite bar, indulging in more than a few drinks and dancing the night away until it all became too overwhelming for her. Grateful she hadn't driven, she knew Darren would have been her designated driver yet again, subjecting her to his lectures all the way home. Being out late had become a common occurrence over the past year. As she made her way down the dark hallway, barely able to put one foot in front of the other, she contemplated her husband's probable sleeping state. It wouldn't be beneath her to make enough noise to rouse him from his slumber. In fact, she relished the idea. A drunken smirk still adorning her face, she acknowledged her growing bitterness as she ascended the stairs, bypassing the guest room without a glance and continuing her unsteady journey. By the time she reached the master bedroom, she was using the wall for support, pushing the door open with her foot. She was surprised to find the bedside lamp illuminated and, even more shocked, to discover the bed empty. Where the hell is he? Her mind demanded, prompting her legs to move instinctively toward the bathroom. After a thorough search upstairs yielded no sign of him, she descended the stairs. Her heart pounding, she saw a faint glow emanating from the kitchen, leading her to believe he might have drifted off at the table while waiting for her. No such luck awaited her. Instead, she found the hood light above the stove left on, further fueling her frustration. He's going to catch an earful when he finally shows up, she muttered angrily as she scanned the clutter on the counter. She debated leaving it for the morning, but a glint of something shiny caught her eye. Dragging a high-top chair closer, she slumped into it and examined the object she had picked up, Darren's wedding ring. The weight of it in her hand only intensified her growing unease. Beneath it lay a jumble of documents, her passport, what appeared to be a ticket of some sort, and a sealed envelope. Glancing at the time on her watch, 2:30, she contemplated waiting for Darren to return and provide some explanation. With a heavy sigh, she rested her head on her folded arms and succumbed to sleep. Moments later, the mystery of Darren's absence still looming, Mary couldn't recall how she ended up on the floor, but the impact jolted her awake. Despite her intoxicated state, she rubbed her face groggily and glanced at her watch. 5:45. Anger surged within her as she realized Darren had returned home and left her slumbering on the counter. Determined to confront him, she stormed up the stairs but once again found the bedroom empty. This time, she moved with purpose, swiftly descending the stairs and flipping on the overhead light in the kitchen, flooding the room with brightness. Confusion mingled with frustration as she swung open the door to the garage, only to find Darren's car still absent. Her gaze returned to the counter, where the pile of items remained untouched. Examining her passport, she noted the outdated photo, realizing she hadn't used it in years. The airline ticket to Florida puzzled her further, and her curiosity piqued as she tore open the envelope bearing her name. Racing to retrieve her reading glasses from the night table, she returned to the kitchen, clutching the letter in hand, and settled onto a stool at the counter to unravel the mystery before her. Dear Mary, if you're reading this, you've undoubtedly discovered that I'm not at home, and you've come across everything I've left behind for you. You've probably heard it in bars, especially over the past couple of years. About 30 minutes before closing time, they announced last call. Well, my dear wife, consider this your last call. I'm sure you won't be shocked to hear me say that our marriage hasn't been working for quite some time. I wish I could say I'm willing to let it limp along as it has been for the past few years, but that's not in the cards as I see it. We have two options. Option 1, you can muster the courage to gather up those documents and join me for a tough week of trying to salvage what's left of our relationship. If you choose this path, I'll be there to meet you when you arrive, and we can take it from there. Option 2 isn't as pleasant. We part ways, divide everything equally, and put an end to what has sadly become a charade of a marriage. I can't say I wouldn't prefer option 2, but because there's still some semblance of feeling left, albeit not much, I'm unwilling to give it one last shot. I won't delve into a lengthy analysis of how we reached this point or whose fault it may be. I'll simply say that I can't continue down the path you've chosen for us. Mary paused in her reading, glancing around the room with disbelief. Surely this had to be some sort of joke. Darren wouldn't have the nerve to follow through with what he had penned. Any moment now, she expected him to walk through the door, sheepishly seeking forgiveness as he always did. This is the gratitude I get for being lenient with him, Mary mused bitterly. If he believes he can intimidate me with a threat of divorce, he's sorely mistaken. Despite her irritation, she resolved to continue reading his foolish letter, reasoning that she had already invested this much time into it. Mary, we shared many wonderful moments in the past and have raised 2 incredible children together. However, as the saying goes, staying in a troubled marriage just for the sake of the children isn't sustainable. Our kids are grown now, forging their own paths with the people they've chosen. I believe that if we're both willing to make some compromises, we can rediscover the love and connection we had when we first met. It won't be simple, but it's essential if we want our marriage to endure. Dan it, she muttered, flinging the letter onto the counter. I gave that man everything I had, and now he has the audacity to say it's not enough. I swear on my life he'll pay for this when he walks through that door, Mary declared to the empty room. If he had even an ounce of backbone instead of being a spineless coward, maybe I wouldn't have to constantly push him. If it weren't for me, he'd still be stuck as a lowly rubber salesman instead of climbing the corporate ladder like he has. He should be groveling at my feet instead of issuing ultimatums. Who does he think he is, and who does he think he's talking to, his damn mother? Her agitation grew, as it often did when Darren failed to meet her expectations. With a huff, she returned to reading the letter. As mentioned, Mary, I'll be there to meet you at the plane, ready to embark on the journey of rebuilding our lives together. However, it's crucial that you ensure you're on that plane. Mary glanced at the ticket in disbelief. There's no way I can catch that flight. It leaves in just 3 hours, she exclaimed, checking her watch. Mr. High and Mighty will be in for a surprise when I'm not on that plane, she muttered, twirling his wedding ring on the counter. And as for this ring, he won't be getting it back so easily. He'll have to earn it. She smirked, envisioning the tasks she'd make him undertake when the ring slipped from her fingers and clattered to the floor. She simply left it there, feeling drained after a night of revelry with her friends. All she craved was sleep. Dealing with her husband could wait until she was ready. Unaware of the consequences outlined in the letter, Mary didn't bother to read further. If she had, she would have seen a series of events already set in motion, beginning in just a few short hours. Later that morning, nursing a cup of coffee at the kitchen table and swearing off alcohol, Mary was startled by the arrival of Darren's 2 brothers, Frank and James, who entered through the front door. Excuse me, but you 2 can't just barge into my house, even if you are Darren's brothers, Mary snapped, eyeing Frank and James as they entered. Take your time finishing your coffee, Frank retorted, shooting a disdainful glance at his sister-in-law. We're just here to collect a few things. My brother asked us to grab them. Fine, go ahead, Mary shot back sharply. And make sure to inform him that he's in for a world of trouble when he gets back. They didn't bother responding, simply dashing upstairs with a box of black trash bags. 3 quick trips later, they were gone, not uttering another word to Mary. They could have at least said thank you, Mary grumbled to herself, draining her second cup of coffee and contemplating whether to have breakfast or lunch. Glancing up at the clock after a late lunch, she went shopping with her friends. Since Darren wasn't around, they ended up making a night of it again, but she never made it home. She awoke on Kelly's couch Sunday afternoon, praying for relief from her pounding headache. For the second time in 2 days, she swore off alcohol, though she knew it would only last until she sobered up and felt better. Darren's probably at home right now, wondering where the hell I am. Let him stew in his own worry, she thought before drifting back to sleep, despite her initial resolve.